And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. You're tuned in to Tapped Out. Hosted by Brendan Tobin and Sean Levine. Only on the BetQL network.
All right, the segment's called You Gonna Fight Me, where Brendan and I square off in the middle of the octagon or ring or just outside the studio. Wherever you want to fight me, man, it's on like Donkey Kong. But first, let me update you on the Final Four. The Owls are up 5 over the Aztecs. That is FAU over San Diego State, up 5 right now with 6 and change left.
Crazy.
Are we gonna have an all South Florida Final Four coming up?
I don't know,
UConn and Miami. Canes right now are 5.5-point dogs. I know that UConn's been rolling, BT, but I mean, giving up 5. If you're gonna give me 5.5 with the Hurricanes, that feels too good to be true.
Dude, you've been telling me you've been making money with them all year.
All year.
I feel like they wouldn't like it any other way. They like this disrespect factor that comes their way. I do feel like they were even a lower seed basically just because of their early exit in the ACC tournament, which was only because Omir got hurt. So I don't know. I like it. I mean, especially if you're getting 5.5, I feel like that's great coming the Canes' way. It's just a matter of can you bring UConn into any kind of deep waters, because they've kind of been on cruise control this entire tournament.
Yeah, I was on them all year long. Those Hurricanes covered in 73% of their regular season games this year. Later on, they got UConn. 6 minutes, 3 seconds left right now. Florida Atlantic up 65-60 over San Diego State. We'll keep you updated on that one. But let's go ahead and start fighting. So, speaking of the heavyweight division, which we've been talking a lot about here during the show, I think that Stipe is a much, much more difficult matchup for John Jones. And I know you're probably going to say, than Cyril Gahn. And I think you're probably going to say in hindsight, well, of course, because we saw that fight and it didn't even really last a full round. I would have told you that a few months ago. And in fact, I'm looking at numbers right now where it says Stipe is a 3-1 underdog. You're going to fight me if I say that's way too big. Stipe should be an underdog because John Jones looked great. His first fight is heavyweight. But Stipe is the greatest of all time when it comes to that weight class, at least right now. I would have put him like plus 180.
I see where you're coming from. So like my initial instinct is I don't want to fight you because I don't disagree with the idea of I feel like he'll put up a better fight than Cyril Gahn.
For sure.
But I still feel like that's one that John really wants to solidify this whole heavyweight run. I still feel like John's going to handle him pretty soundly. And I think that if you told me this fight, and I know Stipe has been doing some things, feels like Stipe has been old for a while, but at some point I feel like it's going to catch up to him too. And if you tell me I got a motivated John Jones against, the heavyweight GOAT to really solidify even more so his heavyweight crown with Francis on the sidelines, I feel like if John doesn't bleep up, if John just can stay on the path, okay, then I feel like he's going to handle Stipe just fine.
I don't know, man. Old is cool these days. Like Glover Teixeira won the belt at 43 years old. Tom Brady won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. He was like 77 years old. So I'm not going to really hold age against any of these dudes at this point. Like, and I understand John is a couple of years younger than Stipe, but also it feels like Stipe Miocic is one of those guys. He's the fireman. He's got the couple of kids now, so he's got that dad strength. Like the older that he gets, he's still going to beat your ass. So it feels like a lot of times we've been talking about this. It is the BetQL network, so we talk a lot about the odds and value bets. It feels like it's just a good value bet. It feels like the same way that we were saying John versus Cyril Gahn. Hold on, you're going to give me John Jones at basically even money? I'll put my whole house on that. When we were talking about Alex Volkanovski when he took on his last fight, it was the same thing. He came in against Islam. It's like a plus 400. It was like ultimately he lost the fight, but it was too good to be true for the numbers. So I'm just saying, when it comes to value, it feels like if I can ever get Stipe Miocic, whether he's fighting John Jones or Mike Tyson or a bear, I'm going to take the greatest heavyweight of all time at 3-1. So looking forward to that one when it comes up. We are now 2 weeks away from the UFC coming back to the greatest city on planet Earth. That's right, UFC Kansas City. The main event, Max Holloway taking on one Arnold Allen. I think Max ends his streak. I think that Arnold Allen's undefeated. His O goes away, and I think Max Holloway takes him out. You gonna fight me?
Not gonna fight you. I that's the way I lean too. I'm a big, Max Holloway fan. As I think if you're not, that's you're a very rare
got a
MMA fan.
problem.
Maybe you're like full Australian. You just have hated any kind of slander that has come Volkanovski's way, and you haven't forgiven Max for it, even though it was probably some dude on Twitter. But no, I'm not gonna fight you on that. I feel like this is a big step up for Arnold Allen, even though he has been on a big time streak. Although, like, look, man, that has been, I will say, one thing that could a lot of fans could throw at us is like, look, this does feel like the dawn of a new era. A lot of these guys that we do love that seem like they're in there a little bit in their prime, but maybe on the downside a little bit. A lot of these young guys like Leon, they're coming up and they're catching a guy like a Kamaru Usman, so maybe this is a time for Arnold Allen to step in there and show that he is ready to be part of that next wave there at featherweight.
I feel like that was a slight dig, not just at Izzy, but maybe also at Kamaru Usman. Am I making too much out of that? Like you're talking about the
It's
great
not really
guys
a
getting a
dig.
little old in front of us.
No,
Maybe
it's not really
Valentina also.
Valentine's an interesting one, yeah. I mean, but I don't think it's so much a dig. I just think it's something that's a reality. Like we talk about how hard it is to stay out on top, and especially when everybody's coming for you. And Max feels like Max has been doing this thing forever. I mean, Max has been in the game since 19 at the highest level. So now you're main eventing, all respect, in Kansas City, not on a pay-per-view.
Easy.
Sorry, but it's like if you're Max Holloway, like it's a little bit of a different slipper to wear for this one. So I think for him, I don't think there'll be a motivation issue for him, but I do think he'll win, but I think we do have to be a little bit careful because these young guns have been showing out lately.
Max Holloway, I mean, dude, I know that people love Max. I still think somehow he's a little bit underrated. So we were talking about this a little bit ago, BT. In the last 10 years, or the last 9, so since 2014, he's only lost to 2 different guys. He's lost to Alexander Volkanovski, and yeah, that happened a few times. And then he lost to Dustin Poirier. Between then, he has taken out some serious names along the way. Jose Aldo, Anthony Pettis, both those guys in their prime. How about a guy named Charles Oliveira? You ever heard of him? Frankie Edgar. And then even between the losses with Volkanovski, he beat Calvin Kattar and, wait for it, Yair Rodriguez. Like, Max hasn't really gone anywhere unless he loses this fight. If he wins this fight, he's in a weird spot, obviously, because like fighting for a belt again, he's probably going to have to go on some ridiculous winning streak at this point. I mean, look, he's 2-3 in his last 5 fights. He's also, 13-3 in his last 16. If you get my drift, like he's still a great fighter. He's still on this crazy streak, but he has to go out there and win this one. So it's a really interesting fight. It could go either way. And Arnold Allen's a guy that not a lot of people talk about, but he's a guy to me that I think a lot of people that are really within the sport in the know think that he's maybe a guy that can fight for a belt one day.
Definitely. I mean, like this is his big opportunity. I think that for you beat Max Holloway, you're talking about, we talk about featherweight GOAT all the time. And, I think most people are probably in your camp and putting Jose there. But I do think that, Max for a while had a seat at the table of people thinking that he was going to be maybe the featherweight GOAT. You talk about the names he's faced, how long he's done it. So, yeah, if Arnold Allen beats him, he's off to the races. I mean, there's nobody else that you really have to beat to prove that you're worthy of taking on Alexander Volkanovski or Yair Rodriguez if he's able to get past him, which I think would surprise some of us. But if he is able to, then yeah, Arnold Allen, this is his shot at the championship again. Obviously, for Max, it's a weird case because if he wins and Volk wins, I don't know if we're going to see him fight Volkanovski.
No way.
So, but I still think Max has a lot of pride. I think you talk about that Calvin Kattar fight. I think a lot of people would say that's probably his best career in octagon performance ever, and that's saying something. Thinking about some of the championship fights that he's been able to put forth.
Dude, he was literally boxing while talking to the commentators and telling them that he was the best boxer in the UFC while not paying any attention to Calvin Kattar, who's a trained killer and friend of the show himself. That would be 4 times, by the way, if somehow he gets back in there with Volkanovski, which I was about to say guys don't fight 4 times. which leads me into Israel Adesanya versus Michelle Pereira, however you say that. This will be
Or
the
Alex.
fourth time. Alex. And I'm not sure I said any of the guy's name right, but he is fighting some guy. I know his name is Israel Adesanya. I know he's a friend of the show. He came on with us one time also. Are you going to fight me if I say that fight's going to end in knockout? I can't say the guy's name who he's fighting, first or last. He might knock him out again. Izzy might knock him out, though. Like, if that's a bet that I can make, this fight's going to end just in knockout, and I don't know who's going to do it. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen.
That's an interesting one. Oh, man.
Izzy almost knocked him out last time, to be honest with you.
He did.
Izzy had him on the ropes.
I still think Izzy's going to win by decision. I think that's the way I'm leaning in this one. I do agree with the odds makers. I get the theories of it. People saying Pereira's got his number. Pereira's the scariest middleweight because, hell, he shouldn't even be a middleweight. It's crazy that he even makes that weight, that he's able to go there. I get it. I'm looking forward next week. I think one of the things I'm looking forward to the most is the weigh-in. I'm looking forward to seeing what this freak show looks like on the scale and seeing when he goes face to face with Izzy and seeing what that's going to be like. But, I'm going to still lean on resume and the run of greatness. I just feel like it's a safer way to go, even though I did just see Leon beat Kamaru Usman. I still think that Izzy is a smart fighter. We've seen how good he is defensively. To think that he's going to make that kind of a mistake again would surprise me. But, maybe this is just the guy that he can't do it against. I don't know.
BT, have you seen in the Royal Rumble when Logan Paul gets on the top ring and meets, I think it's Ricochet in the middle of the air, like 10 feet
Yes.
high? Have you seen that highlight? Dude, it's unbelievable. All right. And he's actually fighting coming up in WrestleMania. He's taking on Seth Rollins. You're going to fight me, and I feel like a jerk for saying this. Logan Paul is a really entertaining wrestler. Like, the 3 matches that I've seen him in, I'm either going to have to pay for that or I'm going to have to find somebody that did pay for that because I kind of want to watch that match. You going to fight me?
No, I'm not going to fight you. I am not like the biggest wrestling fan in the world. I used to love wrestling.
No, me either.
But everything I've seen, like I've seen the Twitter clips of him do really dangerous stuff. And yeah,
he's
he
awesome.
Looks like he's really entertaining at it. I feel like in a weird way, he's almost found his niche after all this boxing nonsense. Because, the thing that I appreciate with Logan is like, once you fight Floyd Mayweather, as much of a bleep show as that was, really there's nowhere else to go from there. Like, you've kind of gotten to the mountaintop. Like, his brother's kind of gone this slow climb against old MMA guys. He just kind of went right to the top and fought Floyd Mayweather. And then there's really nothing else to do after that. Nothing, unless he's going to go fight Tyson Fury. Like, there's nothing else that's going to, like top that. So good for him for finding something that he's good at, that he could carve a little bit of a lane in. But yeah, he's looked entertaining as hell when he's done it.
You're half right with Tyson Fury. Mike Tyson. That's the one. Get him in there with one of the Paul brothers.
We just saw. Have you seen Mike Tyson lately?
Yeah, he smokes a lot of weed. That doesn't mean I don't want to see him box. Also, I'm fine with that. Hey, speaking of wrestling, you were back to being what do they call you? The Macho Man of Marlins Park or whatever. I saw you there
Macho Marlins
doing
man.
Your emceeing. Macho
Yes.
Marlins man. Are you going to fight me if I say that because you were wearing that cutoff jersey?
Yeah.
I think your best physical attribute, at least that I'm privy to, your biceps. You're gonna fight me? You got something better. Yeah, you got some guns, dude.
I appreciate that, buddy. No, I mean, like, look, I feel like the most I get out is my my eye. Even Jimmy Butler one time complimented my eyes.
Oh, your eyes.
That was
your eyes are
that
your
was
eyes, dude. They're dreamy.
That was the height of journalism for me. I sat down at Heat Media Day this year, and he goes, "Your shirts always match your eyes." And I was like, "Whoa, are you saying I have nice eyes?" And I was not expecting that from everybody knows with Jimmy Butler. Not like the warmest dude in the world, still hilarious, a funny guy to cover, but I was not expecting that. And so that to me has always been the tops.
I think you're the only guy that I've ever told you have beautiful eyes to. I feel very comfortable as a good friend and my co-host. That used to be a big pickup line of mine in my super single days. I feel like girls really appreciate that compliment. Dudes, like, I'm not going to walk up to him at the bar, even if he does have pretty eyes, and tell him as much. You do. You got some pretty eyes, my guy. Brendan Tobin, Sports Machine, Sean Levine, coming up in a little bit. We'll keep you updated on the Final Four game. Good look. And whoa, Florida Atlantic is getting in a dicey one now, 67-65. 2-point game, 2:36 left with 30 seconds left. So we'll keep you updated on the other side of a break, exactly what happens there. And then speaking of the Final Four, it's going to be fun. In our next segment, we're going to have our own Final Four draft. So each one of us, me and Brendan, are going to draft our Final Four, our best 4 UFC fighters of all time. And then we're all going to laugh at how much better my list is than Brendan's. That's coming up next. You're locked into the BetQL Network.